Well, hey there, folks. Today I've got something quite a bit different for you. Today I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, no, that's not right. I'm going to focus totally on the bad and the ugly when it comes to the charitable and philanthropic space. If you're a good person, which you probably are, which is why you're here, you're typically speaking looking out for other people, right? You're trying to do things for other people. You're trying to donate. You're trying to be charitable. You're trying to lift each other up. You're trying to be positive. You're more than willing to come out of your own pocket in the assistance of somebody who is in need when you see that person in need or when you're asked to do something. If you're a good person, which again, you're here, so you probably are, you may or may not have been in touch with one of these charities that I'm going to talk about, and one of these causes that I've talked about that maybe is a little less than scrupulous. Unfortunately, there are always people out there that will take advantage of us who are giving folks for their own personal good and their own personal greed. Now, some of those charities have been shuttered. Some of those people are now in prison. And unfortunately, it's just an ongoing thing. It's always going to be a problem because anytime there are people that are willing to give and willing to be out there, there are going to be people who are willing to take advantage of us. And that's just human nature. But it's good for us to talk about. It's good for us to be knowledgeable about it so we can protect ourselves. And I can discuss with you why this project that you're following right now on Good Things for Good People is different than all of those other charities. Now, if this is your very first video of Good Things for Good People, welcome to the channel. This is an entirely new project I started a little less than 70 days ago to try to bring together like-minded individuals, positive, charitable, philanthropic, good people that want to see the world improve, that want to see the world become a better place for themselves and for their children and their grandchildren, but may also not necessarily have the means to be able to make cash donations or physical donations or go out and make volunteer days at a local charity. The nice thing with this process is it gives you the ability to make those positive impacts on the world, but all you have to do is just watch this video. What we're going to do here is, with this channel being monetized, it will generate revenue off of the YouTube ad process, which will then generate revenue we can use to be able to do good things for good people. It's as simple as that. Think about it as donating, but all you're donating is just your time. It's a really, really great way to do it, and it avoids a lot of the, let's say, less than okay tendencies of a lot of other charities that are out there. That's what I want to do with this project, and I think there's a lot of people else out there that also believe in the same thing, and I hope that you're one of them. If you are, click on the subscribe button, click on the like button. I got some stuff to talk about. Most of it's not real good, but you're here, which is the beginning of a great thing. In this video, I'm going to focus on 3 specific charities, and why they are a terrible example of what can happen in the charitable space, and why I want to make things different with the Good Things for Good People project. The whole idea with me is to keep things transparent. And as you're going to see, a lot of it is because of the lack of transparency, how some of these charities end up being what they are and end up putting some people in prison. The Associated Community Services solicited money for homeless veterans, good cause. Children with autism, good cause. Breast cancer awareness, good cause. And breast cancer patients, absolutely. Unfortunately, most of the money didn't go to any of those causes. The scheme over the years, which was basically a robocalling process, made 1.3 billion phone calls to 67 million people. That math works out horribly to 19 calls per phone number, some of which got considerably more than 19 phone calls. So they're basically hammering on you to make donations. And a lot of times they're going to pull on your heartstrings, or they're even going to get a little bit aggressive on being kind of threatening to get you to come out of pocket and make a donation. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that they're also going to lean on are going to be the elderly people, or people that are maybe not necessarily able to really understand what they're giving for, but they hear those keywords of veterans and breast cancer awareness and children, and they're going to come out of pocket, and they're going to, hey, you know what, that sounds like a good cause, I'll give some money. This charity netted $110 million. $110 million. And how much of it did they actually give? Of that $110 million, how much of it did they actually give? Less than 1%. Less than 1%. Unbelievable. What that is it's basically a get-rich scheme for whoever started it to pocket that money, to utilize your goodwill to make themselves richer. There's not much in my world that's slimier than that, but there might be. The National Children's Leukemia Foundation. Let's talk about sick kids, right? There's nothing, absolutely nothing that will pull at your soul, at your heart, at your want to do good things for people than sick kids. Kids with cancer. Absolutely nothing will come at you more than that. So, the National Children's Leukemia Foundation kind of tries to play off that whole thing. Now, this foundation was supposedly founded by somebody who lost his own son to childhood leukemia, which is a horrible, horrible thing, and you never wish that on any parent. But he supposedly lost his son to this and founded this NCLF. The charitable donations accumulated up to $9.7 million, but only $57,000 went towards assistance of leukemia patients. $1.3 million went directly into the pockets of the founder. The rest was spent on lavish lifestyle type stuff, houses, boats, planes, that kind of thing. There was also, the donor had filed a patent for what would be considered a life-saving leukemia treatment. But that never existed. Never happened. He later admitted to the fundraising abuses, forfeited his pension, his insurance benefits, and $600,000 in back pay. Now, that charity was fortunately closed down, but it's not an outlier. There are plenty of these that are out there. I'm here in East Tennessee. There's a lot of people who serve in the military in East Tennessee. If it wasn't for the military, this section of the country would never have been developed. This would not be here. So military, there's another great heartstring you can pull on. The United States Navy Veterans Association was founded by Harvard-trained attorney John Donald Cody. But he did it under a different name. He made an assumed name of Bobby Thompson, whoever the heck that is. The U.S. NVA was dedicated to supporting policies favorable to the U.S. Navy and helping disabled and needy war veterans, hospitalized veterans, and dependents and widows of deceased veterans. Sounds like a worthy cause. People who served our country, who have died for our country, or the families of those who have, sounds like an absolutely worthy cause to make a donation to those guys. According to Charity Watch, the old chapter had 66,000 members, which is complete and utter bogus. What he was basically trying to do was drum up the support and talk about the fact that he worked with these guys and those guys and these guys and those guys and all of these great things that were being done. Raised $100 million. $100 million. Gave away basically none of it. And when he was apprehended by the police, he had $1 million in cash in a suitcase. The other $100 million, gone. Probably not to the hands of those who really needed it, or to those it was actually supposed to go to in the first place. A lot of other charities you're going to see will trade on things like other names of other organizations. There are a number of different ones where you can find, and if you really want to do the research on this, you can find a ton of it out there, where people will set up a Goodwill of Michigan, or a Red Cross of Ohio, or the American Cancer Society of Knoxville. And they will play on the name. They will play on the name recognition of a true, honest-to-God charity, a true, honest, philanthropic charity that does actually do good in this world, that uses the donations they have. And yes, they have administrative costs. Typically speaking, though, you want to see those administrative costs being less than 20%. Because you're going to have things like processing payments, staff, charitable, things that you're going to have to get out there and do, people that you're going to have as spokespeople. There are costs involved, even in a charity type of thing. But you like to see those administrative costs below 20%. And a lot of these charities will basically just use that name recognition to be able to bring money in and then soak up all of those funds with administrative costs. And it's essentially just a get-rich-quick scheme, pulling on the heartstrings of Americans, pulling on the heartstrings of other people. We've all seen those ads on TV. If you're older than, 30, you remember seeing those starving children in Africa ads, right? Where you had the one older white gentleman that looked like a wonderful gentleman, and then you had the starving African child with, maybe a bowl of gruel in front of him, and he had flies crawling around in his eyes. That kind of stuff pulls on the heartstrings. It does. If you can see something like that and not feel like, man, I really want to be able to do something about that, there's something wrong with you. You as a human should see that stuff and immediately have a visceral reaction to, I want to do something about that. The problem is bad people know that. Bad people know how to manipulate us. They know exactly what works on us. They know exactly what they can say, what they can show you, and they know the buttons to push to be able to open up your pocket. It's just, unfortunately, a part of the world that we're in. Now, there are some companies out there. There's actually some organizations that kind of police other organizations that are involved in this. And they do make reports where you can actually see some of this. There's Charity Watch and a couple of others where you can actually do a little bit of homework on your charitable organizations that you may be considering donating to. And there are, like I said, there's some great ones out there. St. Jude's. St. Jude's gets like $2 billion plus a year in donations. And rightly so, because they're actually out there doing things. They're actually out there changing lives and trying to actually improve this world. And they have administrative costs, but they try to keep those administrative costs in line so that they can actually put your money to work the way that you intended it to, not to fly the people that are in charge of the board around on private jets all over the place and throwing a banger of a party for New Year's in Vail. That's not what it's all about, right? That's not what it's all about. But unfortunately, that's part of what we're dealing with here. That's part of what we're fighting against. And part of why I'm doing this project is to be able to fight against and make a completely different way of doing things versus these other charities. I've been doing a ton of homework, and I'm going to bring up some other videos in the very near future about other examples of bad deeds and bad actors that put a negative spin on charity. And there's a lot of people who have a negative opinion of a lot of this stuff because they have heard of some of this, they remember some of it, they know somebody who's been scammed this way. Again, a lot of people will trade on the religious side of things. They're going to be people that will connect to somebody through a church group or through a newsletter, or they will be a faith-based organization that you think will do good things, that you would think this person's a minister. Absolutely. I can trust this gentleman. I can give this gentleman my money because he's a good, godly person. He's going to do something good with it. Well, that's not always the case. You don't know that person's background. That person may be a felon. I was reading earlier that there was a case where a gentleman had just literally come out of prison with fraud charges. He had come out of prison because of fraud. He became a minister and immediately got himself involved in another fraud scheme, because that happens. People realize that people of faith and people who have a belief, typically speaking, are going to want to do something for other people. They're going to want to help other people. So you unfortunately kind of become a soft target. Now, I'm saying all of these things, and I'm hoping that I'm not trying to bring everybody down here. I'm really not trying to. By the way, I have a really long beard, and I've got a beard hair in my face. I'm not trying to bring you down. I'm not trying to do anything to poo-poo about charities. Charities are very, very important things, and I want to be able to be on the list of good people that does that. But I want you guys to understand the reasoning behind why I'm doing the things that I'm doing and why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. The Good Things for Good People project came out of my personal desire to improve the world around us. I live in a very urban environment in downtown Columbus. There are homeless people within a block of my house. There are crack houses within a block of my house. There are prostitutes and drug addicts and everything you could possibly say is bad within blocks of my house. So I live around it all the time. And I do that on purpose. I live there because I choose to live there. I could live out in the country where I'm surrounded by nothing but people that look like me and talk like me and are educated like me and work, white collar jobs. And I'm beautifully insulated from having to deal with any of the realities of the world. But I don't choose to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to be involved. I want to be involved in that process. But I also don't want to use those weaknesses, those challenging times, those difficult periods in people's lives as a way to pull money out of your pockets. That's not what I want to do. It's a tough time for a lot of people out there. Regardless of what your political beliefs are, regardless of what your religious beliefs are, it's a tough time in the world right now. It really, truly is. And what I want to do with this Good Things for Good People thing is I want to make it non-denominational, non-political. I just want to do good things for good people. And I don't want to dip into the pockets of those who want to be able to do good deeds. I don't want your donations. I don't want you to send me anything. I'm not asking for any money. None of that. All I want you to do is click on a video, watch it for 10 or 15 minutes a day, drop a comment, maybe tell a friend or a family member that you think might be interested in it, and go on about your day. That's it. Leave the rest of it up to me. And the nice thing is, because I'm going to be transparent with you, I will show the analytics. If this is your very first video here, I promise you, I show analytics as we are growing the channel. You can see how the video is performing, why it's performing the way it's performing, what we could possibly do to do things better, how much revenue we're going to make off of that. And then I will be very, very transparent about how that money is being spent. Because I have no desire to enrich myself personally. I've got plenty. I don't need anything else. Not really. Not really. I don't need more cars. I really don't need more cars. And a lot of times people get into the charitable foundation thing for unscrupulous reasoning. And I have scruples. I promise you, I have scruples. So, all of that I'm saying is to say this. This is a different type of thing. This is a different type of project with different people. We're still trying to figure out our way on this YouTube thing, but I think there are enough people who are interested in possibly seeing this project achieve greatness. If you look at how much revenue is made through YouTube, I know numerous YouTubers that make $10, $15, $20, $50,000 a month. Think about what we can do with that kind of revenue. Think of what kind of improvements we can make in people's lives. What does it cost to change somebody's life? What amount of money would it take to change your life? Think about it. All you got to do is watch video, and we're going to be able to make revenue off it, and we're going to be able to do good things with it. That's all there is to it, folks. That's all there is to it. Now, if you don't believe in me, if you don't believe that I'm a good person, that I have a good moral compass, that I want to do this kind of thing for the reasons of good, by all means, don't click on it and don't come back. Don't subscribe, because we don't want you here. I want you to believe in me. I want you to believe in this cause, and I want you to be on part of this team. I want you guys to believe in this, and I want us to grow this together. I'm going to do weekly or bi-weekly live chats with everybody so that we can have open discussions with everybody on how this channel is doing and where we're directing things, what we're doing with the revenue we're bringing in. I want to be able to really have a kind of a board of directors meetings with all of you, not just me preaching at you, not just me out here doing good things and random acts of kindness. That's not what this is all about. So, welcome back to Good Things for Good People, the little tiny YouTube channel with great big dreams, as big as the Norse Dam. That's the pitch. That's the idea. That's what we're trying to do here. Differentiate yourselves from the herd, right? That's what the idea here is. Be better than those other people. And unfortunately, there's a shitload of bad people out there. There's a ton of experience and a ton of examples, and I'll talk about them again in some other videos, of what people have been doing in the past and still doing. But we're going to be better than all those people. I believe it, and I'm going to make sure it happens. Thanks for being here, folks. I really appreciate you. I promise I'll go over analytics tomorrow. I should be back home in Columbus tomorrow, and we'll go over things from there. So you guys have yourselves a wonderful Friday evening. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.